Hi, guys and gals. My name's John. I have a short story for you regarding a Triumph Bonneville Speedmaster 1200 with a custom built classic sidecar. I put this rig through some tests, showing you what it can do and what it cannot do. Basically, the good, bad, and the ugly. If you're like me, you like cars, you like motorcycles, anything with a motor in it, I think you'll like the video. I appreciate you clicking on it. Here we go. This rig will cruise at 70, no problem. However, for passenger comfort, a country road at 55 is a much better choice. Yaw is a term that refers to swerving left or right depending on acceleration or brake. I wanted to add one cautionary note in case you've never been on a sidecar and you have an opportunity to take it for a spin. Never take your feet off the pegs and place them on the ground unless you've come to a complete stop, the engine is off, and it's in gear so it does not roll forward or backward. If you don't follow these rules, there could be an injury to your leg if the sidecar moves forward or backward. I've been asked on a few occasions, John, why a sidecar? The long story short is, back in the 1970s, I was a teenager. I was traveling in Europe. I spent 3 months and went to several countries. At one point, I was in Germany, West Berlin specifically. This was the time period when the Berlin Wall was still up, the death strip was in place between the East and the West. I wanted to go to East Berlin. I crossed over at Checkpoint Charlie. At that time, you could go for one day. You had to be back before dark. It was an intriguing place. It was so different. Came back to West Berlin, headed south to Hungary. When I was in Hungary, I was hitchhiking, trying to reach Budapest. At that time, I got a ride from an older man with a post World War II Ural motorcycle rig. It was a cool ride. Here I am, a young guy, on a road that I've never been on before, in a foreign country, sitting in a motorcycle sidecar. Feels like I'm 6 inches off the ground. Wind blowing past me. Beautiful day, roar of the engine. It was a blast. It's a memory I've held on to all these years. Fast forward 5 decades. I'm ready to retire from my second career. I have got the urge to get a motorcycle. It's been a long time since I had one. I always wanted a Triumph, never had one. I went up to Reno, Nevada, Triumph dealer, good bunch of folks. I bought a Triumph and I brought it home. I love this bike. Inline twin, water cooled, twin front Brembo disc brakes, 77 horsepower, low profile look, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. I have a dilemma. I like this bike, but I also like sidecars. Two things can be true at the same time. I did have an agreement with my wife that when I get a bike, it will get a sidecar because occasionally she wants to go on rides also, and I'm okay with that. As the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. I think you know which direction we went in, and I have no regrets. We're going forward with a sidecar. My wife and I attended a 1 day 3-wheel cycle class put on by a company called Cascade in Washington State. I recommend this type of class to anyone thinking about getting a 3-wheeler if you've never had one. There are nuances on how these units operate. Here's my wife on a Ural working the clutch. She had never been an operator before on any type of cycle. She impressed the instructor. I chose a company called DMC in Washington State in order to create the sidecar. It was an impressive company, had been in business for over 20 years. Right now, the owner has retired, and I am informed he sold the business to a sidecar business in Texas. Here's an example of some of the sidecars they were working on when we did a DMC tour in Washington. I located a custom paint shop in Northern California called Auto Perfectionist. They did an excellent job matching the factory paint job on the gas tank to the sidecar. A walk around the rig, you'll see a trim motor behind the sidecar wheel, a shock absorber and a spring. The sidecar does have a trunk big enough for 2 helmets, headlight attached to the step along with turn signals, running light, connectors, typical connectors, 2 to the bottom frame, 2 to the top. On the front wheel, you'll see something unique. It's called a leading leg. Basically, it takes the front wheel and pushes it forward approximately 3 inches. This is for ease in steering. The bike has 2 extra switches on the handlebars, one for the trim motor, and I'll explain that in more detail soon, and then also a switch for the extra light. And there is a USB port in the sidecar. The trim motor on the sidecar helps keep the rig going straight on rural roads where the drop in elevation from the center to the side is more than 2%. Does having a motorcycle sidecar rig get rid of your interest or desire in having a two-wheel motorcycle? It does not. They have one thing in common, and they are both fun. They're machines, they're different kind of machines, but they are fun. I want to make a few comments to my fellow senior citizens out there, and I am one, and have been for a while. If you're like me, the back's starting to hurt, arthritis kicks in, joints don't warm up as nicely. You have a motorcycle, you may feel the need to have to put it away. Did you ever think about a three-wheeler? I can tell you they're more comfortable. I could ride longer on a three-wheeler than a motorcycle. Just a thought. I also want to take an opportunity to thank all the guys and gals who do those adventure ride videos on the internet. I really appreciate those. That's my go-to place on the internet. And also, it's inspired me to do some mini adventures here in California. So if you've never been out here, you want to see what the back roads look like, you want to see how this rig handles hills and turns, check it out later. You might enjoy it. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and see you down the trail.